Welcome to 5-Star Weekly. New signings, a surprise injury, and friendlies have been announced. All that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5-Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Marc. And wherever it is you get your pods, subscribe, share, and leave us a good rating. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Atlanta United have announced its preseason schedule, and 4 friendlies are on the docket. First up is March 13th against Tormenta, March 20th against Charleston Battery, and March 24th against Chattanooga FC. And those are all going to be at the Children's Hospital training ground in Marietta. And there will be one that fans can possibly make. They do have to run through some hoops a little bit, but that will be March 28th against Birmingham Legion FC. Of course, we played them last year in Alabama, and that will be there again with limited seating. And so, yeah, there will be some friendlies after all, after we mentioned it last week that, it's a... kind of a conundrum. Do we know if they're going to be playing friendlies? And if they are, it's going to be in the local area. And yeah, definitely has been confirmed now. Definitely, I think the toughest one would be probably Legion for sure. Possibly Charleston Battery. But yeah, what are your thoughts on, possibly in my kind of leading question that it's going to be kind of a light preseason friendly schedule?
Yeah, because normally they would maybe try to schedule at least a couple MLS opponents, or we've seen them even play Mexican teams in the past. Obviously, that's not going to work this year for logistical reasons. It's actually the opponents are a little higher level than I expected them to be able to pull. Because last week I mentioned maybe it would be college teams, but yeah. And shout out to Tormenta, Charleston, and Chattanooga for agreeing to that, and they're going to make the trip to Marietta and so on. And so that I think will help Atlanta United, at least in terms of figuring out how they want to play and people's roles and where people are supposed to be. At least you're playing a legitimate opponent, and so I think it'll be a good test to try out a new tactic, especially the Birmingham Legion match. I think it was last year. They made the trip to Birmingham, and it was kind of a tough match. So I think also shout out to scheduling Tormenta. They're fairly new club, founded in 2015. To give them that sort of notorieties a little bit. So yeah, overall, I'm actually I have positive feelings about the preseason schedule, considering what it could have been.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, though, that match is coming up very, very soon. It's this Saturday against Tormenta. So, yeah, we will have something to look forward to in a sense where if we can watch it, we don't know if there's a stream yet. There's a lot of questions.
Come on, Atlanta United.
I know. But maybe they don't.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, but is that the right thing? Possibly. Frank de Boer did not allow, probably, I think it was Frank de Boer, didn't allow their games when they were out west to be shown, at least very early on. And so, teams can't scout them in a sense and see what they're trying to do. I understand it from both ends. Obviously, from the fan standpoint, they want to see the team as soon as possible. So it's definitely kind of a little bit of some subset of the fans, I think, in contention a little bit. But it is something that was mentioned last week in that the team is staying at the hotel. So Jurgen Damm has shown, at least on TikTok, that that is the case. And so they are in a bubble for sure due to the pandemic, obviously. And so, them facing any of these teams, I assume, will have to be in somewhat of a bubble as well to face any of them. And that should, I think, bode well in that hopefully we don't get any cases like some of the other teams around the league have already gotten. So, you don't want any of our already pretty, find out very shortly with, injuries or any sort of things like that because of, the pandemic could affect the players that we could select. We don't want any of that. That's for sure. But anyway, let's move on to MLS will announce on Wednesday afternoon the season openers for every MLS team. That's according to Stephen Goff. But there will be the full schedules later, probably about 2 weeks. And that's, the season's going to start in about 2 weeks after that. So okay, cool.
Yeah.
I guess we're probably not going to be able to go to the games. That's
right.
That's a foregone
exactly.
maybe at this point for those early ones. But I mean, good to know that those openers are going to be announced shortly. We're filming this pretty much on a Wednesday afternoon, morning rather, and so we shall find out. But let's move on to that injury that was announced on Tuesday night. Pretty much the player himself announced it, which is always kind of a oops. But and then the team shortly after posted something about it. But Mo Adams, unfortunately, had a sports hernia surgery. He has been dealing with that for some time, apparently. Some eagle-eyed fans have noticed that he wasn't really in part of any of the media packages. So, he did say that he was thankful for the surgery. He can't wait to attack my rehab and get back out there soon. Minor setback, major comeback. But, LA United, they did pretty much post that there is a 4 to 6 week recovery period. But do you think that this leaves our midfield depth a little thin? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, so you've got the numbers right now are Sosa, Ibarra,
Hindman, Hosetu, and then maybe Moreno as a central midfielder in that sense. So, you have 5 guys and really only maybe 2 true defensive midfielders in Sosa and Ibarra. So, they will be relied on heavily. And will they be even playing in the same matches then? Because you might need to spell each other in that sense.
Right.
Yeah, what do you think?
But then you also got the sense that Sosa and Ibarra would play together, So obviously we'll see the preseason. I think will maybe give us some clues, but I don't know. I mean, I think we definitely probably can't afford to lose another player. But I think we're probably okay for the first 4 weeks, which I guess will be the length of time that he's out. I think we should be able to weather this, barring no further injury to the midfield.
Yeah, and that's, knock on wood, the hope for sure. I think personally for me, because Mo Adams is probably our most defensive of the midfielders, that leaves us with only, I think, mostly Sosa as the most defensive one, and both Sosa and Ibarra are super young and new to this league. Hindman is a little bit more of a central midfielder, and Hosetu definitely as well is probably the least defensive of all of them. So, we, I think, kind of, is a little bit of a conundrum, I think, early on, in my opinion. But moving on from that, Atlanta United 2 head coach Stephen Glass is apparently the bookies' favorite, at least according to the Scottish Sun, to land our sister club Aberdeen FC's manager gig. And very interesting indeed. Of course, Glass was a former Aberdeen player and definitely showed out for them for a number of years, and is a guy that's, so in that sense, very familiar with that club. What do you think of Glass, being linked with this job in a sense through, people that are betting, but, if he actually was able to actually get that gig, what do you think?
I mean, it would definitely be a step up. You know what I mean? I think anytime you can get top flight professional experience, it's an opportunity. And we may not think of as highly of SPL as we once did, but it's still a league with a lot of history. What I found interesting as well, in terms of like the bookies list or whatever, is that Neil Lennon was one of the candidates, and Neil Lennon has managed in the Premier League and he's managed Celtic. So the fact that he's not the favorite for the Aberdeen job, and Stephen Glass is, I don't know, that was just interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, again, like if they do offer him the job, I would not be surprised if he took it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's reserve. All right, yeah, managing a reserve squad versus managing a Scottish Premier League side. I mean, and that he was a big part of as well. Yeah, I think he would probably very, very quickly take that job. I mean, that's without question. And whether you thought he did a good job with the first team or if he does a good job with the second team or not, definitely that's a step up. Obviously, I think he got a little hard luck, definitely in the the first team as well, not having Joseph, pretty much having to put out fires left and right, and the squad itself probably our least talented of any of our years. So,
and it's this too. I mean, like pretty much, it seems like pretty much the moment that they fired De Boer, they were in touch with Ince not long after that. Yes. And so it's like he was basically a placeholder, and he knew that. Like he was just trying to manage a difficult situation. So I definitely empathize with him, and I don't think like his record with Atlanta United should be held against him at all. That was more of just trying to get through a situation, and I think he did the best he could, and I don't really fault him for too hard for any like major decisions that he made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And also that his Atlanta 2 record, obviously he has dealt with where he pretty much doesn't have a consistent roster. It's mostly a lot of academy kids or homegrown kids that are trying to make their their name and trying to grow their talents. So it's definitely, there's a lot of unfortunately, for those people that don't love excuses, there are a lot of excuses here. I think hold water. So, but anyway, let's move on to something that kind of adjacently has something to do with our club. Inter Miami are being investigated for the transfer in of Blaise Matuidi, where he was a TAM player, but how he was a TAM player is very fascinating, and so the league is going to be investigating that for sure. But Jeff Carlisle of ESPN and Doug Roberson of AJC did report that the the current VP of soccer ops for us in Paul McDonough, who was one of the president of soccer ops for Inter Miami, is not going to be investigated. He's not a target, even though he was at that time their sporting director. So, good on that, because we don't need any drama near our front office.
Seriously,
you made a expression, so I assume you have some thoughts on this.
No, Inter Miami is such a disaster. Like, it has to be said. I mean, like, I want to give them a chance. They're still young or whatever, but it's just one of those. It's just another one of those, like, it's coming off as like an MLS vanity project, right? And I think they've been guilty of this in the past, where it's like, ooh, a major market. Yeah, we want a team in this city. Sure, Chivas, we'll let you set up in LA. How long did that last, right? Like NYCFC, still playing in a fucking baseball stadium. And then this Inter Miami thing, they don't play in Miami, right? They, the kits are, I think the kits are boring. And the players that they've signed are
Seattle did it better.
Yeah, they really did. I love that kit, man. Yeah. Like, when you say you're gonna have pink in your kit and then it's just like outlined on a black kit, like, come on, man. Yeah. And then, like, we're gonna bring this player and that player and that player. Like, you still have to be a good team. It can't just be like, oh, we're the jewel of Fort Lauderdale. Like, come on now, man. I don't know. Like, I just don't see. I don't wish this on anybody, but I really don't see Inter Miami making it 10 years. I don't know.
Ooh, But I think we just found the headline of our episode.
You would.
No. Maybe. Anyway, so moving on. So the MLS transfer window also opens on Wednesday, as well as some other things that will be announced on Wednesday. So, really some more intra MLS things could happen. There is some talk that, at least from Felipe Cardenas, that we could be looking at other teams for center backs, but there is a lack of kind of really good ball-playing center backs that we would really, I think, pony up in that sense for as well. And then, in that sense, like, why would we do that? We can probably find some cheaper talent from other leagues. So, yeah, we'll probably avoid some intra-MLS type of action there. But nonetheless, the transfer window does open. And so moving on from that, to confirm from last week, pretty much we talked a good bit at length about the failed transfer. Possibly it is confirmed. Lautaro Giannetti has returned officially to Vélez Sarsfield, and that was per the club's Twitter. And it was due to that failed medical. So Atlanta United chose not to complete the transfer because of that ACL. Apparently there were some complications in the surgery that they just didn't like what they saw. And so the Atlanta United doctors have nixed this deal in that sense. And it's very fascinating because now, yes, we are still looking for that international center back to complete our back line. And now everyone knows that we need one. And how long we can go without bringing one in, that will be the question for sure. What do you think that we do?
It's either, a search for like a week or so, right? Or you may have to bring back Mesa.
That'd be awkward.
I know, yeah. It's so awkward. I know. That's the thing. And he's like clearly not the fit for, at least the sense I'm getting is that he's not the fit for Ence. So,
Walks. Do you think Walks starts and we just kind of maybe hold off until summer or something?
Maybe. You're talking about like what, 2 or 3 months. So it's a risk, and then it leaves you thin at center back. George Campbell might have to play sooner than we expect. On that note, I will say, like, I'll be open-minded about young players, right? They're just unproven. It doesn't mean that they're not good. So I would love if like George Campbell surprised us, but at the same time, I don't want to like throw him in the fire, put that pressure on him, and so, it's difficult, man. It's really difficult. I just think they're so unlucky in this regard,
Definitely,
because to be hard done twice, in terms of trying to address center back.
Does it exacerbate a little bit of our offseason moves in the depth, say, in the likes of Mesa, of course, but also maybe like a Lawrence Wyke, who maybe isn't going to play a huge part anyway, but still a little bit of promise there. He showed a little bit of his ball playing ability, but also Franco Escobar, who is another one of those players that can play center back, and unfortunately he got injured with Newell's Old Boys, and so that's kind of just a whole slew of just really unfortunate events, and really accordance to our center back depth. That's now we're going in with 2 senior center back options, and pretty much we're kind of hoping really, I think, after that. And so I think, in my opinion, definitely need to bring in someone ASAP and really kind of solve this problem. But anyway, let's move on to a new player that, or not new player, but a new signing in a sense. Atlanta United 2 goalkeeper Ben Lundgaard has been signed to an senior team contract. He's a 25-year-old goalkeeper, 6'5". Boca said that Ben has been a model of consistency and hard work since joining LA2, and he's earned an opportunity with the first team. He's still young for his position and has a great opportunity to learn from our current group of goalkeepers while providing additional competition. And he will sign a 1-year contract with 2 additional option years. So, 25-year-old, 6'5", promising goalkeeper in a sense. Like he has made some really ridiculous saves as an Atlanta United 2 player as well. What are your thoughts on, our third goalkeeper, pretty much, that we finally have kind of, I guess, promoted?
That last line from Bocanegra, I think, is the key for me, providing additional competition. I think that's mainly what this move accomplishes.
Sure.
He's 25 years old. He's, he has experience with 2s, and so I think he should be competing for that number 2 spot with Ali Khan. And it's just, I think it's good sense just to have 3 goalkeepers on the roster just in case something happens. So,
always. We don't want a Kyle Rainish situation like we've had before, or even before that, Paul Christensen, where people are forced into action.
We got to make like a mid-season emergency signing or whatever. Let's, if we can avoid that, that'd be good. Or John Terry playing in goal type of situation.
In the past it probably would have been like LGP, but he's no longer here, obviously. But he obviously always played, I think, in training goalkeeper. But when they would switch around and all that. But anyway, moving on from that, another new signing, at least very short-lived signing in a way, that will actually play a part in this first team this season. Andrew Gutman, who, if you might recall, we drafted in that supplemental draft. He has been signed from Celtic on a 3-year contract with an additional option, but he was subsequently sent on loan to New York Red Bulls because they're looking for that depth, and they're looking for someone that could pretty much take the place of Kamar Lawrence that has pretty much been a gaping hole in their lineup, it seems. But and it's pretty much for a natural third-round selection in the 28-24 MLS Super Draft and $50,000 in 2022 GAM if certain performance conditions are reached. But yes, it looks like for me that he's kind of a player that we're going to stash at New York Red Bulls to give him some playing time, and if and when we sell George Bello, then we will have kind of a ready-made player that has experience in MLS, because he is an attacking fullback. He would be kind of, hopefully be in line of that type of player that we want to bring in that can play our type of system. New York Red Bulls, obviously, not exactly our type of system, so perplexing maybe in terms of the club he moved to. He will learn how to press, that's for sure, if he hasn't. But what are your thoughts on Gutman?
I will say real quick on him being in Red Bulls, he should at least get involved in the attacking play. Generally speaking, though, I mean, I think, the explanation that he's a long-term possible replacement for Bello, I think that's the one that makes the most sense. It's just an interesting series of moves, like trading with, I believe it was Cincinnati for that supplemental pick. Yes. And then using it on this player that, is not even going to be with us for this season at least. So, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens in the future, but it definitely seems like, Atlanta is just affording themselves a little bit of protection, having like a long-term plan in place in case, certain transfers happen.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. On to this one, I think, is a big head scratcher. If the previous one didn't make some people head scratch, this one definitely, I think, makes a lot of people head scratch. A transfer rumor came in today on Wednesday. LA United reportedly are interested in River Plate forward Matthias Suarez. He's a 32-year-old forward, and he apparently, the forward, says that he'll stay at River Plate. He's not interested in moving. That's according to Passion Monumental. Yes, this player does have a market value of $3.5 million, and he did have 7 goals in their 2019-2020 Superliga. So, yeah, he probably has been one of their best players on their squad as well. It's very strange why we would really try to bring in another forward. What are your thoughts, Marc?
Can he play center back?
Exactly. And the fact that we're rating River Plate again has a lot of people
Right.
talking as well. But yeah, I mean, our forward line and our forward depth, I mean, we have, I think by my count, at least 6 players or something that, would be in line. Joseph, Licha Lopez, Eric Lopez, Kubo Torres, Jackson Conway, Mashap Chol. Why would we need that? I mean, it's maybe to overcompensate for the lack of forwards we had last year, possibly,
Right.
which is just like, yeah, we got exposed for sure last year for that. But yeah, does this make any sense whatsoever to you?
I think the one angle I could see it from is like maybe if you're looking at the current options that we have, those players you just listed, I guess in theory there's a bit of a caveat for each one. Joseph coming off of injury, Lopez being 37, Lucho Lopez being 37, and then Eric Lopez, just still kind of being a new player, young player. The Chol and Conway are also young, but I mean, I think that's good depth, and I think you have good variety in terms of your forwards as well. So I'm not sure how much more you can add to that with another player. Yeah, I don't get this one.
Yeah, definitely. And so we'll see what happens on this one. This is, I think it's already not going to happen anyway. So it's very, very strange nonetheless. But speaking of another River Plate player, at least a River Plate 2 player, Matthias Benitez, the rumored forward as well, is already seen in training with Santi Sosa because he posted it on his IG story, and whoopsies, it's definitely, he hasn't been announced, and yeah, Benitez, clearly is in Atlanta United gear, and it's just going to be, I think he's going to be an Atlanta United 2 player, but still, I think there are a slew of rumored players that have not been announced, and it is what it is. I guess we'll wait when that happens. But anyway, moving on. So Darren Mattos, another guy that's rumored, he apparently has been in training as well, not seen on any IG stories, but Chris Smith says that he's been there for almost about a week, and he's impressed Heinze. He's scored once, hitting the post twice in some sort of training match, but Matthias says that he is eager to put on the Atlanta United shirt and to be unveiled. There are some hitches in the deal to sort out. So, I mean, obviously, I think the league is still maybe approving a lot of these deals, so these will take some time. That's totally understandable, but it is, fascinating nonetheless that, there's so many players that are already training that they're just they're itching to post stuff in a way, and it's kind of the era we live in, that leaks will come out. Leaks will definitely come out. Yeah. But anyway, so moving on to something that's a little Atlanta United adjacent, in our play-by-play announcer on Fox Sports, Kevin Egan, or as he's being known as on WWE, the wrestling network, he's being known as Kevin Patrick, and he will join WWE as a backstage correspondent on Monday Night Raw, a play-by-play commentator on the WWE main event, and as a host of Raw Talk. Congratulations to Egan. That's like a huge gig, really, I would say. And who knew? I mean, I think there are a lot of, at least, I mean, I personally don't follow WWE on a consistent basis, but I have followed it in the past. And there is some likenesses to soccer fans and WWE fans, I would say, or just wrestling fans in general. It's very odd. It's like, I guess it's like a very ESPN 8 kind of the Ocho type of, type of thing, where we're all, I guess, very into the more obscure type of sporting entertainment, possibly. But congrats to Egan. You have any thoughts on Egan getting that job?
Wait a minute, that's Kevin's music.
By God, is that Kevin's music? Yeah. JR.
Very excited for him. I mean, I also grew up a fan. I think that was called the Attitude Era or whatever.
Sure.
But, right, yeah.
What was your favorite wrestler? Or who was your favorite wrestler?
Gosh, I mean, I was definitely a Rock fan.
Of course.
Definitely,
his mic skills are legendary.
Oh my gosh. So, he was the supreme entertainer. It was great.
Yeah.
Undertaker, let's see.
Nice.
Kane before he unmasked. Yeah, there's definitely a few. Mick Foley.
Mick Foley, hell yes.
He had 3 different characters.
Mankind, yeah, exactly. Cactus Jack, of course.
And Dude Love,
yes. Mine, oddly, is Shawn Michaels. Yeah, it was something about that super kick, I think, always did it.
Oh my gosh.
There's just so much drama with it. And he obviously, as well, though, had a lot of controversy, and also with the DX stuff. And I wasn't in love with the DX stuff, but I liked him as the Heartbreak Kid when, he's that underdog. He's that guy that, going against Big Diesel and, pinning him and winning the title and that type of thing. That's I'm more for the underdog, I think, in a lot of senses. Even though for Atlanta United, I don't care. I want to be an evil empire. But
yes. It's more fun that way. One more shout out, because we're fucking talking about it, right? I have a huge appreciation for the Hardy Boys, especially in retrospect. Some of the stunts that they did were ridiculous, and they must have broken bodies at this point. I don't even, the matches they were involved in, the table ladders chairs match, when they started doing that, it was oh man, they took the stunts to another level. It's great.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. All the aerial guys were always impressive to me as well. But I don't know if Jeff Hardy is still wrestling, but his body must be just tarnished by now. But because while it's fake, it takes a lot of punishment. But anyway,
no, listen, fake is the wrong word for it, man. Those guys are getting beat up.
Oh yeah, well, it's I guess fake is the wrong word. It's more that I can't think of it anyway right now, but it's that it's somewhat choreographed in a way too.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's enough wrestling talk for now. And
just reminiscing a bit.
Yeah, indeed. It's a short episode, so we're kind of going off the rails a little bit, so no big deal. But anyway, let's talk about how MLS is standing up for the hate against Asian and Pacific Islanders. That's something near and dear to my heart, obviously. If you're just a listener and you've never seen my face, surprise, I'm Asian. But as their fight to fight, that's redundant, but as part of their fight towards racial equality and social justice, it's good to see that MLS is doing this. If you don't understand, yes, there has been a lot of social injustice against Asians and Pacific Islanders during the pandemic, and a lot before that, obviously, as well. So it's good to see that they're bringing more awareness to it. This does not take away from any other race. It should be noted. It's just like Black Lives Matter, that there isn't anything being taken away. It's just more awareness. But anyway,
it would be a real shame if anybody thought that that's what that was about. I mean, we should bring awareness to what's happening to our Asian American friends. People getting harassed, on the bus, or just going to work, or just going about their business, and then people getting blamed for a virus. It's just ridiculous. And it's sad. So I'm really glad that MLS put that out, and I hope they take actionable steps towards that as well.
Yeah, appreciate that for saying all that. But yes, that does it for the news and gets us to our question of the day. And our question of the day is, who's in your starting midfield if we had to play this week, which we do. So let us know who, if it's, one lone pivot or if it's a double pivot, who is in that starting midfield, because I think we are a little short. But let us know in the comments below. And guys, that's it for us today. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.